Hi, this is Hazel Marie, and welcome to my craft room. I am excited to share with you my latest project. This is a beautiful rosette flower, and it is mounted atop a vintage spool. Now, if you look at the flower, it is a little bit larger than the second one, and on the outside edge, I have used my Sizzix Big Shot and a die to make this beautiful edging. The second piece, like I said, is a little bit smaller, and then on top of that we have a paper bow and a beautiful pink flower. Coming down behind this, we have beautiful green and pink ribbon along with pink pearls. This all was attached to a dowel rod, and the dowel rod was inserted into the vintage spool. Now the spool itself is decorated with a crochet piece of beautiful doily. Atop that are the pink rosebuds, and then we have little squiggles or little vines where you take the wire and wrap it around. And then on the spool itself, I covered it with paper. I added this beautiful looped ribbon, or lace, excuse me. I attached pearls to the top and then added these beautiful pink little flowers. There is a flat back pearl on either side. And as you notice that this paper has a design here in the front, and then it's blank, and that's where I have put my two flat back pearls. Now on the back, I've gone ahead and I've finished it off because I like my projects to be complete, and I added a round circle to cover up the dowel rod. The first item you're going to need is paper. Now this is the paper pack that I've chosen, and it's DCWV, and it's called the Preppy Princess Stack. Now this is a beautiful stack of paper, and as you can see, part of it has glitter, about half of it has glitter, and the rest does not. Beautiful paper pack. Hopefully you're getting this in focus, and there's 2 sheets to each particular paper, and there seems to be a little bit of a shadow on there, so I hope you're picking this up. But this is a beautiful stack of paper. It's done in pinks and greens, 2 of my favorite colors. So this is the paper that I used. Now out of this particular paper pack, the 2 papers that I've chosen is this pale green stripe, and I have chosen this really beautiful pink, white, and green. It has some sparkle in it, and it's a crown, which is beautiful, and it has a bird with little pink roses. These are the 2 papers that I have chosen to use. Now, in addition to that, you're going to need some more items, which are going to include the roses. You're going to need 4 small roses, then 1 larger rose, depending on what size spool you use. Now, I am going to be using a large spool. Now, you may not happen to have one of these antique spools, and that's okay. You don't have to have one. You could use something as small as a wooden spool, such as this. I know there's quite a bit of difference. You could also make your own spool if you wanted to. You could use a tissue roll, put you 2 pieces of round cardstock on each end, and you could glue those on and you could use that as your rod or as your spool. I bought this on eBay, and I picked up a couple of more at a garage sale. So if you're on the lookout, you can find them. But it is wood, and on the top it says the Visco Company, and it's Meadville. These are very beautiful, and I kind of treasure these, and I've had them in my stash for a while, but I finally decided I'm going to take these out and I'm going to use them. But you can make do with something else if you don't happen to have those. Now, like I said, you can make your own. You can also make it out of a dowel rod. You get one of the chunky dowel rods. Then you can put one of those round pieces of wood on the top. Glue those on. Have your husband or yourself drill a hole down through the middle. Would work perfectly. The next thing that you're going to need is some lace. And you're going to need some pearls. And the amount that you're going to need is going to depend on how big your spool is. You're also going to need some tiny roses. You're going to need some lace in the green and lace in pink. Now, I am going to use a pair of scissors to cut lace with because they're my cloth scissors. And I'm going to use a pair of paper scissors to cut my paper. Also, you're going to need a pattern for your paper bow. And this is what I will be using. And I simply printed these off of the internet. And I just put in paper bow pattern. And this came up. And this is what I'm using. And I will give you the dimensions on that if you want. The next thing you're going to need is a paper cutter. And you are going to need your scoreboard. And you're going to need your bone folder. Now on mine, I have attached a piece of blue actually, it's one of those silicone things that you slip over your finger so you don't glue your finger and burn it. But I have neuropathy in my hands, and it hurts whenever I press down on this hard edge. And so I found that if I put this around it, it makes it a lot easier. So those of you who may have arthritis or have problems with your hands, this has been a really good tool for me, just kind of a makeshift. I did try to glue it onto the bone folder. That did not work. But that's okay. It fits tight enough that I can just kind of slip it back in place if it slips out. So that's a good idea. I'm also going to be using a dowel rod. Now the dowel rod you will need to go ahead and I failed to put the stain on this, but I will stain it before I insert it into my spool. So let's get started and see how we can make this beautiful flower. The first thing that I did was I determined how big I wanted my rosette to be. Now this particular one, and I do have to turn it to its side because it's too large to get into frame. I do have a picture at the beginning, and it will show you what it looks standing up. Now, what I did, this was a 2.5 inch. This was a 2 inch. So on this one, I made a 2 inch cut and a 1.5 inch cut to make the rosettes smaller because I want them to be shorter, and I want it to stand side by side, one taller and one shorter. Now, the next thing that you're going to do, let me put these aside so we can have more room. Is you are going to take your 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and you are going to cut 2 pieces of paper in the pink and 2 in the green. If you're not using this particular paper stack, you're going to determine which colors you're going to choose and what paper pack you're going to choose. You will need 2 of the 1.5 inch. You're going to need 2 of the 2 inch. After you have cut these, you are going to put them on your scoreboard, and you are going to take your bone folder or your scoring tool, and you are going to score it every 1/4 inch all the way down. All the way down to the last one. You are going to do this on all 4 sheets of paper. After you've scored those, you will no longer need your scoreboard, and you can set it aside. As I mentioned just a moment ago, the end is in sight, and we finally reached our goal. And basically what we end up with is this, or that, which isn't necessarily what we were trying to achieve. But after you have all of these gathered up, all you're going to do is press them together really well to get a good crease, and they are ready. You can set that one aside. You are now ready to go ahead and do the rest of your paper. Like I said, I'm going to do those off camera because I don't want to bore you. Be back in just a minute. Hi. We are going to try a new technique that I saw on YouTube today. Now, this technique was simply the same fold, nothing different, but she had put hot glue down. She stuck her rosette in it, into the glue, and she let it sit there for a moment, for a few seconds, until it had set. And then she simply pulled it up, now, she had done hers all together, and hers was a larger rosette. But when working with these smaller ones, to me, they are so much harder, and my hands do not allow me the flexibility that I need. And so I thought, and I know some of you probably have difficulties with your hands also. So let's just try and see if we can make this a little bit easier on ourselves. And I'm not really sure because, like I said, she did hers all in one piece. We are doing ours a little different. Those of you who can hold it all in your hand at one time, I salute you. But for those of us who have a hard time, we are going to do ours in sections, just like so. Okay. Probably not quite set enough. Those are together. Love it. Now, we are doing ours in section. Basically, is what we're doing. We're doing the next section. What we want is our rosettes to make it together in one continuous piece. And I'm basically just turning it upside down, and I'm sticking it in the glue. And it comes apart, and it has glue. For some reason, I kind of find out that when I make noises, it works better. Isn't that funny? Now look at this great mat. It just, it's gone. Love it. Now this is still a little bit warm, so it'll take probably just a little bit longer. And there it goes. I love this mat. If you want to know more about that mat, be sure and let me know, and I'll tell you what it is. I picked it up at Tuesday morning. I think it was about $10, and it is worth every penny. It really, really is. So, none of us want a project that is so hard we can't make it. And I don't think you would have as many problems as I am having, simply because I have a problem with my hands. We're almost to the end. This is kind of a neat thing of using the glue. I like that. Now, I must tell you that I have just ordered myself a Sizzix die that not only makes the rosette, it folds it, and then it actually, you can put a decorative design on the edges. So I looked on the internet, went on eBay. They were like $60. I was going, oh, I think it must be a really old die. I'm thinking, oh, there's no way. I am not paying $60 for a die. So I found one, and it is a used die. It did not have the paper with it. It did not have the packaging. But I told myself, that's okay. I can live with that. Now, look at this. Look at this. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, we have actually two mountains here. We've got 2 points up. We don't want that, do we? So, what we're going to do is we are going to cut this one down because we want one to go over the other one. Oh, I hope I'm not in frame. Sorry about that, people. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. We got 2 up and 2 down. That's not good. We've got to have 1 up, 1 down. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put the paper right there. Let's glue. And let's put the other piece over it so that they come together. Get this back in frame. Sorry about that. Now, whoa-ho, is that much simpler or what? I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. It's so much simpler. I love that idea. Now, I am going to get out my paper punch, and I am going to make, turning it over, I am going to make a 1 inch, because as you can see, this one is much smaller. I'm going to push it together. I'm going to put glue on here. Boy, I have a mess here, don't I? Aha! Boy, I just don't learn, do I? Stuck my finger back in that glue. Okay, that one didn't hurt quite as bad as the other one. Get the glue off, and I have got strings all over me. Okay. As you can see, we now have our smaller rosette. You know, that really did work a lot better. Get that one back in. If he doesn't have enough glue, go on the other side, stick some more glue in. Stick him back in there. We want you to be a pretty rosette, not a walk-sided one or a wonky one. My wonky word. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we have that one. Ah, much better. Much better. Now, I am going to need to get another stick of glue. Just one moment. Whoops. My strings are pulling it with me. Okay, no strings. Okay, let's see if we can get some more glue. Sorry about that. I thought I had one out. Of course, when you're putting glue down the way I have over here, we've got it going everywhere. Okay. This may be the most challenging one I have ever made, but even challenges can be fun. I'm going to put some more glue on here, and I'm going to push it tight again, and I'm going to adhere that on. Now, over here, look at this. Isn't this amazing? Look at this hot glue. It is just lifting up. I love this mat. Now, I have the paper. I'll get it for you. This particular one is called the Splat Mat. Nothing sticks, it says. And I did get it from Tuesday Morning, and it is $9.99. And as you see, it's a nice size, and I like to show my projects on it. Okay, sorry for that interruption. We are having severe storms here in Texas, and probably a lot of you have heard that there's a lot of flooding. Fortunately, we do not live in a flood zone, thank the Lord, but there is a lot of areas that are prone to floods, and we are known as the Bayou City. So, back to this splat mat. The splat mat, as you can see here, is a great size. It is approximately, let me see how long my ruler is here. It is about 18 inches, and it is a rectangle. And on here, let me see if I can turn this upside down the correct way. I don't know that it's going to tell me exactly how big it is. But it is a great size, as you can see. Has a great display area. Look how beautiful that turned out. Putting the glue down. So, I would recommend that you get a splat mat. As you can see, my glue just simply, it peeled off a lot easier than off of my fingers. So, splat mat, Tuesday Morning. The manufacturer, let me see here if we can find that. Brazil Basic Paper. It withstands temperatures up to 500 degrees. Nothing sticks. I also have been able to get my glue off of here too. So it is great. So that's it. Splat mat. Okay, now we have our two rosettes. Whew, what we had to go through to get them. Okay, if yours does not lay flat, just kind of put it back down. Manipulate it a little bit. Now what we want to do is we are going to glue this flower. Make sure that you have it up. Now on this particular one, I decided not to put the decorative edge on it. I wanted it to be a little bit different than the other one. So I did not put that on there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to get more of the paper that we just used from the paper pack, and we are going to make a paper bow. Now, like I said, these two pieces I downloaded from the internet. I looked up paper bow patterns, and I was able to get this particular one. I put them on the back side because I did put some adhesive so they don't slip. I am lining this one up with the edge so I don't lose extra paper. If you've ever sewn before, you know that you try to get all you can out of a piece of paper or out of a piece of cloth, and you do the same thing with a piece of paper. Don't want to waste your paper. Okay, now, so let's just go ahead and get our bows. Get this back in frame. Sorry about that again. So what we're going to do is just cut around the pattern. Now, these bows are super fast, super easy, and you could make up a whole bunch in advance. And I did make up a lot of different bows, and I can show those to you at the end of our video. They are fun to make. I made red, gold, silver that I can use for the holidays. And then I took just some different papers, just some of your favorite papers that you like, that you think would make pretty bows, and just cut them up. Now all you do is simply take that off. It's ready. And then take this one and cut it out. Now, if you want to make smaller bows, which I did, I made some smaller bows, you simply shrink or reduce the size of the bow that you want. If you want it larger, just enlarge them. You can use multicolored bows. The piece that goes around the middle that we'll be showing you in a moment, you could do that different. You could put a piece of bling. Like for instance, if you made a, let's say a black glitter bow, you could put a really fancy piece of bling as the center of your bow, if you wanted to do that. That would be very pretty. You can put contrasting colors, or you can do what we're going to do and use the same colors. Now, when you turn them over, this is what they look like, right here and right here. My fingers are in the way. Okay. When you're doing away from you, it's a little harder. Okay. So let's put some glue on the end. Kind of bend your paper just a little bit. Get it to flex. Pull it down. Go to the other end. Glue it to the center. You have the first part of your bow. Now what you're going to do is you're going to glue that bow onto the back part. Me and my strands are still all over the place. The back side you want to glue down to the ribbon part. Just like so. Now, before throwing those two pieces away, or the scraps away, I should have said go ahead and cut you a piece to go around. Now the bow actually comes in 3 pieces, but I didn't cut down the part that wraps around. And all you do is just wrap this around. Make sure you square it up. You don't want a one-sided bow. Put a little piece of glue right there. Wrap it around. Then wrap this part around. And you have a perfect little bow. Now this bow is going to go in the middle. You're going to put some glue. Oops, sorry about there. I almost forgot something. Goodness me. Uh-oh. I am going to make a... I don't like that being white. Yeah, we don't want that. So let's go ahead and let's make it green to where it matches the paper. And now let's go ahead and put our bow right there in the middle, making sure your glue does not come over your flower. Now isn't that quite beautiful? Just beautiful. Now we can start to assemble.